Here to give us a better idea of where we stand in the 2020 race is Diante Johnson, an advisory board member for the Black for Trump movement. So, Diante, when we talk about what exactly Joe Biden has been doing as of recently, this isn't the first time that he has made this type of slip up. In fact, you and I have talked about this before when he made the "You ain't black" comment with Charlemagne the God. Is this really representative of the idea that Joe Biden believes that these votes are guaranteed to him rather than reaching out and earning these votes?
Absolutely. This is what happens when 90% of Black Americans vote Democratic. You get this. They become the candidates become complacent. They expect that the Black community is just supposed to automatically give them the vote. Not this day and age. We have President Trump who has worked very hard for the Black vote, and the vote is up for grabs, and we're coming forward.
And, I want to talk about this issue more broadly because, of course, the Democratic Party is very vocal about trying to get their outreach to black voters, but the Republican Party is also coming around in that effort as well. I mean, you bring up President Trump, and he's made a very concerted effort to do just that, whether it's with HBCUs, whether it's the First Step Act, things of that nature. Is the black demographic a little bit misrepresented when it comes to their political opinions? Because we talk about the idea that they're not as monolithic as Joe Biden would have you believe. Does there need to be a better understanding of what it is that black Americans do want?
Policy. We're focusing on policy. We've talked about what the Democratic Party has done when it comes to Black Lives Matter and painting Black Lives Matter on every street in America. That does not help the Black community. Policy is what helps the Black community. We talk about school choice. Mothers want to be able to send their children to whatever school they feel that is best for their child to go to without any stipulations. Historically Black colleges should be able to thrive again. And President Trump has made sure that has happened with permanent funding. We talk about criminal justice reform. People should be able to, nonviolent criminals who are facing crimes that they may not have committed or that they falsely accused for, they should have a second chance. And people who have been released should have a second chance in the workforce. All of this has happened under President Trump, and they care about policy, and policy is what is important.
I think you're right, because oftentimes the narrative that we hear in the media isn't reflected by what black Americans are saying as far as policy goes in the polls. For example, we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, and it was just a couple of days ago where Gallup came out with a poll that said black Americans, 81% of them in the respondents, said that they want to see the same, if not more, of a police presence in their communities. So that doesn't exactly speak to the idea of defund the police or anything like that we're hearing from them as well. And the same thing could be said about the Biden campaign as well. Of course, he's the individual behind the 1994 crime bill, which disproportionately hurt minorities, as well as the idea that even what they talk about right now, they talk about getting the incarceration rate down, but they're not even on board with necessarily doing away with marijuana crimes or anything like that, which the progressive wing of the party is so often talking about. So I don't think the connection is necessarily there for the Biden campaign. So acknowledging that, what can Republicans do in order to increase their outreach?
We have to continue to stay strong on policy that has taken back the Black community for far too long. We have to make sure, as President Trump has said time and time again, that the forgotten communities are no longer forgotten. That's why President Trump is saying, listen, if the Congress and Senate doesn't do anything when it comes to a COVID-19 relief response bill, President Trump said, I am going to make sure that we are doing something, whether it is halting evictions, whether it is stopping payroll taxes. He is looking at the he's looking at the community that has been forgotten for far too long. And he's saying that you are my focus. You are who I care about. And that has been it since day one with President Trump.
And I think that's the message that he really needs to make this upcoming election because, for example, another thing that he was talking about was evictions. He was like, I will not allow people to be evicted from their homes when they're not able to make a living right now. And that kind of speaks to the more populistic type of policies that he was promoting back in 2016 and that he should be promoting once again in 2020. And I think he will when he hits the campaign trail a little bit harder. But those economic policies that really make a difference in people's lives, whether it's making sure that they get a paycheck, whether they're making sure that they have a place to stay at the end of the month. Is that the message that you're seeing from the Trump campaign?
Absolutely. American first all the way. America first. And that is what the president has talked about all throughout these 3.5 years. And that's what he's pushing towards for 2020. We have to continue to put America first. We have to continue to build our economy, and we will have the greatest American comeback ever seen before.
And in fact, that's the message, I can tell you, that is the winning message. And I think the Biden campaign knows that too, because they've been accused of plagiarizing that message. The Trump campaign has made those allegations based on the economic policies. So I think that both sides know that there is an appetite there for those very types of policies. It's just a matter of making the message to the American electorate of who they trust to implement those policies going into 2020. But Diante, I really appreciate you coming on tonight and breaking down where we stand in the 2020 race and this issue more broadly. Thank you.